also, as he has acknowledged, are who seek to reclaim Zort to our care. She'll use technical language and rules terms. He's just a layman. She can't make him. No, she can't make him come and go to the cult and participate. If he can survive or tolerate the bound spirit, the spirit of reprisal, which for this cult most people can't, then he's free to go as he will. Just so maybe Zort is the only one who knows this, it's not really very proper for somebody to throw off this cult spirit of reprisal the way that you and your friends, you did with your friends' help. It's, there's no way could be happy about this. That thing should have eaten you. Or dragged you back to her suitably suitably at a low power and at a low hit points and ready to listen to reason. That's when she says you're free to, she can't make you. Well, she's used to making you or people like you. And so she's phrasing this in a very careful way. I mean, she's a little out of her element when her spirit of reprisal doesn't do, that. So I'm saying these things without perception rolls and things because Ikindu is not an idiot and is going to pick up all of these, bits of emotional content without any problem at all. This is you're used to this. You're used to reading people and, understanding what they're not saying. What she's not saying is that she's kind of pissed that somebody was able to block that spirit of reprisal. That was defiant. Whatever that was. Also, she knows very well that chaos is diseasing Skava right now.
Okay.
So, whatever anybody would like to do or say before I do or say.
I would like to ask her what prompted her to think that. Well, let me rephrase this. I think the East so far has done well on itself, at least not worse than the West. And I'm not really sure I understand why that should have changed. But I'm very curious to hear her explanation.
War has come to the Dragon Isles. The disruption at the Temple of the Buried Dead, the release or the reappearance of forces that are far beyond the proper knowledge of anyone. All of these, including although Jovan was not an extremely powerful or important in an extremely powerful or important position, different clans and different people were invested in what he might find or bring back. This led to open conflicts. The Merciful Dawn has, of course, put itself at the service of the proper, the proper clans, the proper holders of authority over the waters of the coast and the trade over the lands. And she will name, I don't know, she'll probably give you one of the names, which means nothing to you, Skava, at all, of some I'm going to use the word prince, but I don't mean it in terms of modern monarchy. It just means somebody important in the councils of the various chiefs. Right? So think of it as an eligible for the top chair. That's a prince. So she names one of the princes of the different families of that region, that the Merciful Dawn is supporting that person, uh, and that uh, it is anticipated that order will be restored soon. But we know, we have seen that mighty forces are at work. When the ancient gods before time showed their faces again, the world reacted, the world lashed back, and chaos is part of that response. New and more powerful forms of chaos have awakened. You have felt their touch yourself. There are peoples in this world who would be empowered by the release of that chaos. They would extend far from their island holdings and bring destruction wherever they go. We have come here to place ourselves as the masters of chaos, as the masters and I guess you would use the word manager. It doesn't sound very good in English, but the custodians, that is the word in English. The custodians who will create a shield for our lands. Zort is more than he knows. He has become the door through which these forces will walk. And she'll look at you gently and say to Zort, "It's not your fault.
Wait, the door for...
We are your home, and you may come to us."
Oh. So despite what I want, I will bring destruction.
If you are not managed. Although that little smile I just did, that's not her.
Yeah.
That's me. Sorry.
Yeah.
She's taking this very seriously.
Yeah. What you're saying is horrifying.
The great forces of stasis, of ultimate order, should never have been awakened, should never have been known. Their runes never known to us, never seen, buried deeper than the dead. Even to have learned of them myself in the past months has shaken our cult to its core. We would have turned to the buried dead, but even they were blasted apart by such knowledge. She looks at Urko and says, "You may be, in fact, the last of your cult." She's speaking of priesthood, not of, everybody out there who liked the cult and participated in it. All those people are still there. She's talking about the priesthood. So,
How did you learn about the runes that should not be known?
The town, what was it called? Aucklis, right? Aucklis, where the Temple of the Buried Dead was. It has changed. It is now a spot of substance that will never change, that will never grow, will never die, and will always be. It is a return. It has returns to before time. We we have gone to war in part to prevent its use or investigation. All right, we now have, as you guys are kind of realizing how much things have changed over to the west. The whole community has been strangely altered into some new mystical, horrifying, form. That the cults have reshaped their power structures. That the government, if you will, if that's the right word for it, the power balances, of what you think of as the empire, uh, have undergone a drastic shift. Um, that she is here to set up her community here, to establish it as a power here, and she wants Zort. And those are, you asked what she wanted, and those are her priorities. Um, she's a pretty big gun. Having her around might introduce policy difficulties once in a while. In other words, Skava can tell this is not somebody who's going to just go and like sit in her temple and think about a god or something like that. She has plans. Zort, now is the time.
Yes.
I want you to tell me your constitution score.
Oh, that one is 11.
Okay. All right. So Zort, who is busy struggling to, well, I think the very idea of I am important is kind of hard for Zort in the first place. So he's
Important in the wrong way.
Right. Sort of struggling with that notion right there. And then there is the fact that from basically your body is shocked and harmed by powerful energies that are surging through it. So that from your mouth and nostrils belch forth a vapor that quickly, as it emerges, seems to be semi-solid. So it doesn't just disperse like smoke. It is forming and spreading and even seeming to move in a physical, solid fashion through this whole area. And since the hit to your constitution was solid, I'm going to say that you probably, fall down, and we now see this coming out of your nose and your mouth. So for those who are interested, is as surprised as anyone.
I was just going to ask her whether she's behind that.
She's, as far as you can tell, she is very definitely not so. And so that has begun to happen. What would anybody like to do?